And here we go. I hope. Let's see. Are we alive? Everything is looking green on the board for me at the moment, which is cool. Do we have audio? Looks like my audio might be just a little bit on the loud side. So I'm going to turn that down a fraction. It's going to take a little bit of tuning to get this sorted out. Okay. Looks and sounds good. Thanks, Gerald. Now, new camera angle. Everything is new. Yes. Everything is up for grabs right now. It's all being moved around. But there are still some really weird things going on. I'm going to switch to another camera in a moment and show you. Now, getting my head around this. Okay, first though, acknowledgement of traditional owners. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So, good morning everybody, or well, I was going to say it's not good morning for Mako, but it is good morning. It's just like a darker clock, just after midnight, I think. Now, what am I doing? Okay, I'm going to switch to portable camera view and show you a few things. Hopefully I still have audio. It looks like the frame rate was really low. Oh no, that looks okay. Okay, so everything is a mess, as you can see here. It's all a mess. There is stuff everywhere. There are cables piled on the floor and boxes, and I pulled stuff off the shelves so I could run cables through there. You can see for that overhead camera, the cable now goes down the bracket. It's cable tied to it and runs down under the bench. And everything is all over the place. There are some weirdnesses going on. I might get back to this, but I'll just show you this now and then I can talk about it later. You see how the left monitor, so I'm looking at the left monitor here, every few seconds it goes black. See, it just went black there and then it comes back again. And you're looking at yourself. So there's the chat window with, up in the top left, that's OBS. And bottom right is the YouTube streaming interface. Bottom left is Touch Portal. So there is something weird going on with the connection to that monitor. But we can get back to that. Oh, and over there, that is the other iMac that I have been using up until now. Not my original iMac, but this was the replacement iMac. It's the very old one from IVT. It's very low spec. And that's the one that's been giving me all of the lag. But for now, what I'm going to do is jump back over here. Oh, and also, Sion commented on the camera angle. Yeah, I've got this camera sitting almost in front of me at the moment. I used to have the camera over here on the side, which gave a view. Basically, it meant that to look at the camera, I sort of turned slightly sideways, but it meant that the view of the camera came along here. So, if I move this out of the way, so what I would be able to do is be at the computer here, slide sideways to the bench here, to the microscope, for example, or to the overhead camera, and then the view from that camera would be looking along the bench. So I could still look at the camera, and you could see the view here. But it's a bit different because this camera is now coming 45 degrees out from the corner of the room. It's all moved around. And I don't know if I like this camera setup here. I might end up, yeah, I don't know. I might end up getting the USB webcam, setting it up on the side and having the view down the bench, which is better if I'm using the microscope. Clinton, you have the same chair. I really like these chairs. I got these about 10 years ago after going through a whole bunch of chairs. You know, the classic thing that dies after you go down to Officeworks, buy an office chair, they last a year, they end up sort of floppy and breaking down and they're no good, and then you end up replacing them. Ergo human. Okay, yeah. a good quality chair is worth it. Makes a big difference. All right, so let's have a quick look at this chat and yes. Oh, Mako says we got a white car. Yeah, we've had that one for a couple of years. Because I'm not really organized today and using this is, I'm not feeling comfortable with it yet. I'm probably largely just going to talk to you today. And also there's a mess on the bench. There's not a whole lot we can do that's practical working on here. Okay, so Frederick just made a comment which is getting back to the issue with the monitor. Oh, Mako said full room cam. Yeah, it almost is. So this is the view from my phone. So at the moment I've got a phone that is sitting on a tripod and it's just running a video streaming program which gets pulled into OBS and then sent up to you. Okay, now Frederick's comment. So we're talking about the video problem that I've got with this monitor. So this is part of the ongoing saga of replacing my computer. Yes, monitors and scheduling. So as most of you would know by now, I ended up getting an M1 Mac Mini. I got the 8 gig, 512 gig model because that was basically all I could get without doing like a build to order thing and then waiting ages for it to arrive. And I didn't want to spend too much on it. I wanted to get a base model or one step up from the base model. And then eventually, if Apple come out with M1X or M2 version of the Mac Mini, replace it down the track. Oh, Dodgy said, is that a light panel? It is a light panel. It's actually a ceiling light. If I switch back to this view, so this thing here, it's a ceiling light that goes in an office, you know, in a suspended ceiling. It's one of those things that is half the width of a standard ceiling tile, so you put it with a half tile and you illuminate the office. And if I drag your view up here, you can see I've been replacing the ceiling lights with those same type. What I've done is 3D printed mounting brackets. So I don't have a suspended ceiling here, it's just a normal ceiling, but I've 3D printed mounting brackets and suspended those tile type LED panels. Except for that one that you can see in the middle there, that's still the old style, that hasn't been replaced. So that one is meant to be replaced with that light panel. And in the meantime, I've just got it leaning there against the blind, shining into my face, acting as a bit of a fill, what's the terminology? Not a fill light? Anyway, I don't know. Now, monitors. So what I had wanted, I'm chasing squirrels here. Okay, where did I get them from? They are, I'll see if I can find the exact thing. They're not color settable, but I think you can get them in different, like light panel. I'll see if I can find the specific one. Was it Alec? I can't remember. I could probably find out by looking on the panel. Oh no, it's LED Vance. It's an Osram. LED Vance LED 0312. LED Vance Osram. Yeah, a little while ago when Dave Jones was redoing the lighting in his lab, I suggested these panels to him, but he didn't he ended up deciding to use something different because he wanted, I think it was the color management, he wanted it to be just right. Let's right, LED lamps. Where are we? LED. No, not lamps. Let's hang on. Let's do a view change here. Let's see if the desktop works. Okay, looks like desktop sharing is working too. All these things I'm doing for the first time. Yes, I've just set up a whole bunch of views in OBS, and this is one of them. Now, LED vents. Specialty lamps? No. Oh, luminaires? Maybe they call it a luminaire. Ah, yes, here we go. Panel luminaires. LED panel. Oh, they say a tricolor panel. Maybe they do have a version. Yeah, I think this is kind of what I got. I can't remember the exact model. But, yeah. The home shopping channel. Reduction Revolution. Ah, yes, okay. I think that's where I got them from. LED vents, tricolor LED panel. I did actually buy them from Reduction Revolution. When it says tricolor though, I don't think that it's oh, it allows you to choose between. Yeah, I don't think you can switch. I think you buy the one that you want. I'm fairly sure that it is not like an adjustable thing. There's only one connection on it, so you just say which color temperature you want when you order it, and that's what you get. It's fixed. I think that might be the case. But yeah, that's the sort of thing that I ended up using. So that's 120 by 60 centimeters. Is that the one I got? No, this one is bigger than the ones that I've got. It's in the same range. It's the LED troffer, but I got the 600 by 300. Yeah, this is the one. So the 600 by, is it 600? No, it must be longer. That's way longer than 600. It must be like 900 by 300. Or 1.2 even. Yeah, this would be it. Yeah, this is the standard like half tile size. It's a 1200 by 300. And it is, I can't remember which color option I got. I might have ended up getting 4K. Cool white? Yeah, don't know. All right, yes. Measure one, Scott says. I have this within reach. It is 300 by 1200. Yep, so that answers the question. Is it emulating triphosphor lamps using multiple emitters? I don't know, Chip. That is more thinking than I did when I ordered them. The problem is that I've gone through a few different lighting options in the lab here and in the garage, and I've ended up buying things like, well, that one that I showed you earlier, which is the skinnier LED batten. That one was a really cheap one that I got from a Chinese factory. I ended up ordering a bunch of them and they were super cheap. And they worked fine, but they didn't last. Like, they degrade quite quickly. And I think they're overdriving the LEDs, running them hot, doing other nasty things. So they work fine for a year, you know, that sort of thing, a bit longer. Eventually some of them start flickering or they just don't turn on at all. And yeah, I got sick of cheap things that kept breaking and I had to keep replacing. So in the end, I thought, well, I'm just going to buy brand name, and I went for the Osram Led Panels. So $70 for a panel instead of whatever I paid for those Chinese ones, which was ridiculously cheap. It was like $15 or $20. But sometimes the difference between a $15 or a $20 thing and a $70 thing is being able to put it up and then never care about it again. And if it allows you to never care about it again and it always just works, then it can be worth it. So, yeah, so getting back to the 1200 by 300 are out of stock, which really sucks. And actually, while I'm on this, before I start chasing the other squirrel, what I've been wanting to buy, oh, they're not listed here. So they come in a few different shapes, and if I go back to the Led Vance site and come down to here, LED. No. Where did I see that a moment ago? I don't know. All right. Anyway, these ones come in a few different sizes. So yeah, full range of LED panel lights. Okay. And this one, the 600 by 600, I've been thinking about buying 3 of these and putting them around my light tent, because my light tent is 600, it's basically a 600 by 600 cube. In fact, you can see it right there, looking, hang on, switch the view. There, looking over my shoulder, you can see the light tent. It is 600 by 600 by 600. And just there, that black thing you can see, that is a little LED panel which is stuck on the side of it. And then there's another LED panel on the other side there. So what I've been thinking about doing is getting 3 of these, which are the Osram 600 by 600 panels, and basically just put one on each side and one on the top. And I think that would give really nice lighting inside the light tent. It'd be a big help when trying to take photos of small things, you know, product photos, and trying to make stuff look good. Okay. Oh, Peter said Bunnings Chirnside Park had stock yesterday when I was there. Well, that is a very specific thing. Sion asked, are their mains attached or via a separate transformer? They have a separate transformer that comes with them. So, in fact, I can show you exactly the setup for this one. Rather than switching to the portable camera, I will, if I can get it in the field of view, I'll wave this in front of you. So you can see the back of the panel there, and it's got a short cable that comes off it, and it goes into this transformer, and the transformer has a mains cable on it. Hopefully you can see enough of that. So there's no mains directly into the panel. You have to put this transformer somewhere. So I've just got them up inside the ceiling, which I prefer this method. The other ones that I had, the cheap Chinese ones, had their voltage regulation was rubbish, and it was done directly within the panel, which then makes the panels run hotter, which decreases the life expectancy. So I prefer to have the transformer. Well, it's probably it'd be a switch mode power supply, not necessarily a transformer, but whatever it is that's in the box, the voltage regulator, I prefer to have that separate, because then you can have that inside the ceiling space and it's not contributing to making the panel hot and decreasing the life expectancy. So Dodgy asked, can you flush mount them on a wall, or will the cord get in the way? You can get mounts for them. Let's see. I ended up making my own mounts. There were some, maybe it was in here. There were some accessories that were listed. Oh, here we go. Like, these are surface mount kits, and they come in all the different dimensions. So this is the one for the 600 by 300, but you get the idea. It's only a picture, it's not even a photo of the real thing. But there's, oh, this is it, I think. Yeah, so it's some kind of a bracket that you can screw onto a surface, and then you can attach the light panel to it. So it's like a frame that goes around it. I could have done that, but you know, $25 just to add the mounting brackets. That kind of annoyed me, so I ended up just designing some little clips, 3D printing them, and screwed those into the ceiling with plaster anchors and then clipped the panels up into it. Now, a white tent looks like a dunny seat. Does it? Where? Trying to figure out how that... Oh, yeah, I suppose it does, just because of the shape of it. Yes, I know what you mean. It looks like a dunny that's been flipped and it's sitting back up on its back or something. Yeah. All right, now lighting. Lighting. All right, I was just contemplating chasing some other squirrel, but I won't. All right, now there was, I keep half getting back to this comment by Frederick, and Fred, I was going to answer Frederick's thing about the monitors, but Frederick has also said that you can select the color temperature with a slide switch. I think I must have got the economy type ones that are non-changeable. Yeah, they've got two different types. It looks like they've got tricolor and they've got their economy range. And I suspect that the economy range is the one where you purchase the temperature you want and that's it, it's fixed. And I'm pretty sure that's what I got. What about Unifi LED panels? That would be interesting. Now, yes, this discussion has been had a little bit on Discord in the past, not for a little while. The whole idea of PoE lighting. When I first heard of it, I thought that's a silly idea because you've got to have a PoE switch, which you're basically wasting like a port on your Ethernet switch, which is very expensive. Ports are expensive. Where's my calculator? Everything is rearranged. I don't know, just as a, making some numbers up. Say a 24 port PoE switch is $600, give or take. You know, could be more, could be less. So 600 divided by 24 is 25. And why could I not do that in my head? I don't know. So $25 per port for a PoE switch, assuming you're not just using injectors, which you could. So $25 per port plus the panel. Actually, when you put it like that, $25 is not too bad. But then you've got the cabling. So and you do have control of it. If you've got PoE, then you've got Ethernet, so it comes up as a device on your network. So it's one of those things where, yeah, first time I heard of it, I thought, that's a really silly idea. Why would you ever want to do PoE lighting? And then I'm slowly coming around to the concept. I think it might not be so silly after all. Yeah. And yeah, as Intermittent Tech said, even the conversion losses alone. But this is the thing that doesn't really compute in my head. If you're going to run power to a lighting panel, why would you waste an entire Ethernet port on a switch? You're basically doing... it feels like using a truck to transport your groceries from the supermarket. It's massive overkill for the problem of getting power to a light. Now, I don't know. I would be very interested to hear about other opinions on this. Particularly, this is the thing, is that I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I haven't seen very many people who have actually done it, live with it for a while, and then have real world experience with it, and can talk about why they made the decision to go for PoE lighting and what benefits it gives them. Now, one of the things that it does take care of is the control side of it, and that is actually a really big advantage. Now, the issue with the way my house is set up is that I've got centrally switched power going to all of the loads. So lights in here, for example, have cables going into the switchboard, and then there is the DIN rail mounted thing. So when you stop and figure it out like that, if you think about what is required to control a normal light. So say we've got a standard light fitting, a light panel. We've got to run mains cable back to the switchboard. Then we have to have a DIN rail mounted relay. Then we need to have a control system that is going to turn those relays on and off, or something like a Sonoff Pro or a Shelly Pro, one of those sorts of devices. By the time you add that stuff up, you'd be up for more than $25 per port. So when you think about it that way, buying a $600 Ethernet switch to control 24 lighting channels, it actually kind of makes sense. Particularly if the control side of it is also taken care of over the network. If you're not just using it for delivering power to an endpoint. Oh, stop this. I'm talking myself into liking it. Yes. Intermittent tech. Awesome. You did a complete live stream about it, showing what it can and cannot do. I would really like to see that. Is that live stream available somewhere? If you can get the... yeah. Good point, intermittent tech. $600 won't get you an 800 watt PoE switch. It gets you like a 200 watt PoE switch. Yeah, so I'm thinking of just like a regular 24 port gigabit PoE switch, and it'll deliver enough power for basic endpoints like cameras and phones. They're the typical applications for PoE. But with lighting, if you want to do reasonably serious lighting like these sorts of light panels, then you're talking about, what are they? 24 watts per panel. So once again, or 24? Yeah, so you're talking about close to 600 watts if you wanted to run them all at the same time. What is the power on this? This is a 6,500 Kelvin panel, just for anyone that cares. It is 0.18 amps at 240 volts. 32 watts. Okay, it's a 32 watt panel. Now, admittedly, that is a reasonably high wattage for a normal domestic light fitting. Okay, so 32 by 24 ports, so 768 watts. If you were going to max out a 24 port Ethernet switch and run 24 of those panels, 32 watts each, and we're not even accounting for power losses and things like that, then you're up around the 800 watt mark that the switch has to supply. Anyway, cool. Awesome. So Intermittent Tech said, I did it in relation to addressable LEDs, so 5 volts and 12 volts, but check the Discord general. I will. And... yeah, but if you have a link to the live stream that you did about this, please drop it here in the chat. And what will probably happen is that YouTube will say that you can't, like, it'll say that the comment has been held for review or something because you'll have a link in it. And then me or one of the moderators can approve it, and then it will come through, because I'm interested to see that. Now, I'm actually kind of interested to get... I'm thinking about whether I should talk about this monitor problem now. Oh, link to Quindor's live stream. Is Quindor the same as Intermittent Tech? Or are they two different users? I don't know. Each time I want to do something, I'm just going to copy that link, because otherwise I'm going to lose it. Paste it into here and then hit pause on it because the audio will come through. Hang on, something went wrong? What went wrong? Oh, it says studio, okay. I see. Intermittent Tech, cool. Okay, yes, I've got the live stream URL, thank you. Quindor is Intermittent Tech, awesome. HDMI cable, yeah, so Mako was getting back to the subject that I was going to do. So this is Intermittent Tech's live stream about it, which I have not seen, but I'm very interested to see. So I'm going to check this out probably later today. Thanks for sharing that. Very cool. Yes, so Johnny, what is I just saw there was a comment by Johnny. My Mustang does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.7 seconds. That seems very random. Have I been missing a whole lot of the chat that is related to cars? I don't know. All right, now, yes, all right, I will address this now. I'll try to get past this because we could end up talking about lighting for the rest of the thing. Yeah, now, this monitor. All right, the computer, back to the computer. I'm gonna try not to think about lighting just for a couple of minutes. So the M1 Mac Mini that I have now, which is it's very limited because these were the first ones that Apple brought out. It only has, I think it's got dual Thunderbolt controllers. So it's got 2 Thunderbolt ports, 1 HDMI out, and it only supports 2 monitors. According to the specs, it'll support 1 6K monitor plus 1 4K monitor. Or, you know, up to that level. That's what it's meant to support. And the idea is that you can have one monitor on HDMI and then you connect another monitor through one of the Thunderbolt / USB-C ports using something like a Thunderbolt to DisplayPort cable or adapter, or using an external dock which could then give you HDMI. And what is happening is that the monitor that is plugged into my to the HDMI port is working perfectly. So what I've got are Dell 27-inch 4K monitors, which were on a clearance special. I think they might still have some. The Dell had them on clearance special for $349, I think it was, which for a monitor that has supposedly very, very good color accuracy and is just generally a really nice 4K monitor, that's a bargain. And so I got 3 of them, with the plan being that I would drive one off HDMI, one off DisplayPort using USB-C adapter, and then the other one I will drive using DisplayLink. The DisplayLink adapter has not arrived yet, so I'm limited to 2 monitors. And the problem is that the one on HDMI, which is the central monitor, works perfectly. I can pick any resolution. It does 4K 60 Hertz. It's perfect. But the one that I've got on the Thunderbolt connection does this thing where the screen that I showed at the start of the live stream, every few seconds, the whole screen just goes black and then it comes back again. So I've tried all sorts of different things to try to fix this. And at one point, yesterday or the day before, I got it to successfully drive the second monitor at scaled half 4K. So HD basically, 1920 by 1080. And it wasn't going black. But the problem is that then I might as well just have an HD monitor. I'm not using the resolution of it. What I really want to do is be running them at 2560 by 1440, because that gives, at the distance that I use them and with the with my eyes and all of the other factors, that gives the right sort of ratio in terms of the pixel density and getting enough on the screen while still having it large enough to be readable. So ideally I want QHD, which is 2560 by 1440. And QHD is what I had before with the Thunderbolt display and the iMac. But I can do that. So right now the center monitor is running in QHD mode and it looks fantastic. The side monitor I've got in QHD mode right now, and it's doing that thing where it goes black every few seconds. So I think my only option here is going to be to replace the cable. Ever since the M1 Max came out, if you look in the Apple support forums and various other things, you'll find just a continuous litany of people saying, I've got this monitor and this Mac and this cable and it doesn't work. Or I got this one and I found if I use this cable then it would work, but then if the computer sleeps, then it never comes back. So I can't let the computer sleep or the monitor doesn't ever recover. All these sorts of things. So there are all these weird combinations of things going on right now, because this is still, even though the M1 has been out for I think nearly a year now, which is amazing. I'm trying to ignore the chat or my brain is going to chase another squirrel. But it is still very new in terms of being a new platform, a new architecture for desktop use at least, even though it's an evolution of the portable chipsets that Apple has been putting in iPads and iPhones and things for years and years and years. So, yeah, it's just a matter of overcoming those things. And what I had, so my original plan, what I wanted to do was get two 49-inch ultra wides and stack them vertically. If I got, so a 49-inch ultra wide you can get in a resolution which is basically dual quad HD, which is exactly the same as two 27-inch monitors side by side. And that, for my eyes and usage and everything, that is the optimal resolution in terms of getting DPI on the screen. And so that would have been perfect. But the problem is a 49-inch ultra wide is about $2,000 for one monitor, and driving them is a problem. That this Mac Mini would only be able to drive one of them, so I wouldn't be able to drive the second one until I had until they come out with a new Mac Mini with extra video channels and all that sort of stuff. Yes, so anyway, I ended up going around and around, decision paralysis for a very long time, and in the end Dell had this special on these monitors and I thought, I'm just going to go for the triple head setup, same as I had before. It worked for me before and I liked it. Probably not as nice as dual ultra wides, but still. Yes. Yeah. Dodgy says that's some serious screen coverage. Yes. But I find that having three screens is perfect for doing, well, actually more than three is good, but having three screens is ideal for doing CAD, particularly circuit board design, because I like to be able to have the schematic, the PCB, and the 3D view of the project all open at the same time. And then of course I need to open data sheets and look up other information. So often what happens is I'll end up with the schematic and the PCB on two monitors, and then the third monitor will be things like data sheets for whatever parts I'm using. Proper number of screens is 12. Yes. And so if I ended up going for dual ultra wides, what I would probably do is have schematic and PCB just taking up like the whole space of the two monitors, which would be really nice. Yes. All right. What are we doing today? I don't know. Oh, it's just an unplanned random stream of consciousness. Yes, Peter. 42. The meaning of life. 42 is life. All right. What else have I done? Okay, other cool things. All right, what I have done. Oh, Jordan said standard ultra wide or super ultra wide. Yeah, 32:9. Dodgy says, was there a topic for today? The topic is, does the live stream work? And so far it mostly seems to be. That's actually a really good thing to check. Okay, so what have we got? I'm going to see if I can get some stats out of OBS, because I think OBS will tell me. Oh, update on the LSC. Yes, that's a good one too. So far, okay, it's reporting CPU is running at 30%, 33%, 60 frames per second. So it's streaming 4.5 megabits a second upload of data. And so far, it looks like, yeah, drop frames, 0 frames, 0.0%. Very nice. Okay, I think we can declare the M1 Mac Mini a winner for OBS and live streaming. In fact, as a bit of a test, let's, I'm going to keep that other thing open, switch to desktop. I'm going to keep my OBS view open off on the side monitor, and let's just go for opening Fusion 360. And as you would probably remember, opening Fusion 360 on my iMac before would take somewhat over 15 minutes. And so I don't know how long it's going to take now. The computer has been rebooted since last time it was open, so there's nothing cached. It's not as if Fusion 360 is sitting there in scratch space waiting to be brought back to life or anything. Start with no topic. I start with squirrels and wander off onto squirrels or squirrels. Okay, so I wasn't timing this, but it's not quite ready yet, but Fusion 360 seems to be mostly open and just about ready to go, which is really cool. So let's open a project and we'll see how this works. Loading. I have had, this project should be locally cached, so it shouldn't take that long to open. But of course, at the same time, we are live streaming. So it's still saying dropped frames 0, which is really nice. There was a message that just came up in OBS. Yeah, it's still taking a very long time to... oh, drop frames now, intermittent says, buffering. That's interesting. According to OBS, I still have 0 drop frames. So I don't know where they are dropping. Yeah, that doesn't work very well. You're right. It's just sitting here spinning. In fact, it's not even changing... It's not even changing tabs. I'm going to change to something else. No. Fusion 360 has freaked out. Alright, I'm going to try. Let's see. Oh, hang on. I was just going into the force quit menu and then something happened. It's like it's responded. Let's see if I can force quit Fusion. Come back. Force quit. Fusion 360 not responding. Well, that's a fail. Let's try that again. Ah, no, don't. Just jump out of there. Yeah, I've been running Fusion 360 a bit on this new computer, and I don't think I've seen it hang like that before. I have seen it hang on other computers in the past, but I think that's the first time I've seen it hang on the Mac Mini. His realization is buffered. Well, Peter, I never promised that it would work smoothly. This is all a bit of a test to see how well it goes. Maybe it is time for me to switch to KiCad and OpenSCAD or something. All right, so it's reopened the program. Now I'll try reopening the project. Maybe it's going to work this time. Well, it's got a title on it. It's not looking hopeful. Well, while it's doing that, I'm going to open Eagle. I have been using Eagle quite a bit on this computer already, and it's really nice. So I'm going to ignore Fusion in the back, just leave it in the background for a little while. And what project was I opening? Oh, that's right, the Permobil wheelchair controller. That one. Hardware. All right, and where's the schematic view? There it is. Yay. All right, so this seems to work pretty well. So one thing I've noticed is that Eagle does work very nicely. Like that's rat's nesting very quickly and doing everything that it should, pan smoothly. It does seem to be very smooth. But Fusion 360, that is a total fail. I just tried switching to it and now it is it is not responding. Let's see, go back to force quit. Fusion 360 is not responding. That is a total fail. I think it might be, yeah, send report. I should have typed in and said, describe what you were doing when the thing failed. I opened it. Now, let's try something I'm curious about. I'm going to try opening Fusion 360 again and not open that specific project. Maybe I'll just try drawing something. See if I can do a new project. So Peter said, has Fusion been made native to M1 yet? Oh, intermittent tech. 10 euros, thank you. Can I still donate to the new PC fund? This didn't fix it. Yeah, it looks like it hasn't fixed it, but thank you very much. Yes. But as a more long-term solution, ultimately, I will probably want to replace this Mac Mini with the faster one. So I want, also this one only has gigabit Ethernet. I'd like to get, I didn't stump up for the 10 gig Ethernet version because when the new one comes out, let's just try, create a sketch on here. Well, this seems to be working. Finish sketch. And where are we? Press pull, that'll do. Yes, new body. And now rotate. Whoa, spinning around. So I'm using the space mouse at the moment to rotate it. So Fusion 360 worked then when I just created a new thing. Let's try opening this. This is a very simple thing. It's just a block with a couple of holes through it. Let's see if this works. Yeah, that worked. All right, so that seems pretty decent. This is a design for a custom load cell that Chris and I were making with Peter, his stepfather. And we actually fabricated this. So, well, when I say we, Peter fabricated this because that is what he does. He's an expert at making stuff out of metal. And we then attached strain gauges on the sides. So we glued one right on here, and then down here, we glued one on opposite sides. So it's like a traditional load cell, like a bar type load cell, but there are two of them rotated 90 degrees relative to each other so that we could measure in the two axes. Now I'm going to try opening this other project. And Clinton, software person comes to hardware channel to get away from software hell, ends up in software hell again. Yeah. Okay, so this was my original theory, was to just get two bar type load cells and machine the ends and interlock them so that they would just be stacked end to end. So this was the first idea. And you can see that in here what I'd done was suggested that we machine out the center part here to give it a flat face. And is it this one on this one? Oh, I hadn't got as far as doing it on there. But the idea was to just put those together, insert a little bolt between them and a nut. And I have no idea how I was thinking that I would end up doing the bolt up. Because how do you get onto it? I don't know. But yeah, something like a little M2 bolt and nut could go through there to attach those two together. And that was what then led on to, hey, how about we just machine our own and making that. So we made that. And in the end, it kind of worked, but the sensitivity was terrible. And it turned out that there is a fair bit of skill and knowledge required in order to attach the strain gauges to the material and make it reliable and reproducible and accurate, which was the most important thing. Reproducible is the most important thing. Oh, here's a this is a model of a very small one. So this is a model of a strain gauge that would of a load cell. Performance issues. What is it complaining about? RAM. Experiencing graphics or performance limit effects. Using higher res graphics off. I don't know. Anyway. Seems to be working okay to me. I can spin this thing around. Now, what's going to happen? Okay, I'm going to try opening a different project. Not the one that freaked out before, but another PCB project. Let's see if this one opens. Oh, it did. Okay. So this was one of the boards that I did. Get rid of that. Yeah, this is one of the boards that I did for one of the early things that we tried. So an AT-Tiny 84. Our plan was to make this an I2C, like a peripheral device, and combine the two load cell interfaces and then use the AT-Tiny as a front end to it so that we could talk to it and get the values off the different load cells. And this ended up being a total fail. I did use this PCB, but trying to do this with an AT-Tiny was a waste of time. And so what I did was I made up one of these boards that had the interfaces on it for the load cells, but I didn't populate the AT-Tiny, and instead I just soldered jumper wires onto the pads and connected to, and used this basically as a breakout for the load cell amplifiers. And then quickly moved on to the next version that, in fact, I think it was this one. Let's see. Yeah, this was the follow-on version. And what I ended up doing was combining both of the axes onto a single interface chip and then just exposed I2C. So that ended up being the replacement for that. And it worked much better. In fact, this is exactly what's inside the Zero stick now, and that is making it work. So that's cool. Now, I'm going to risk it all. I'm going to roll the dice for a hard 6 and try to open this project again. PWC, let's open and see if that makes Fusion 360 hang again. Or will it actually work this time? Because I've opened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects and made a new thing, and Fusion has behaved. It was when I opened this specific project that it wasn't very happy at all. Yes. I think it's died. I think opening this project is making Fusion 360 die. So I'm going to try force quitting Fusion 360 again. And I'm not going to mess around with that more on the stream, because it just seems to cause problems. Opening a project. Send report. All right. Now, oh, that's interesting. I've got a, there is an interesting rendering bug in Eagle where it loses its cursor sometimes. You can see that I've got the cursor set to the large style, which is the lines that go all the way from the edge of the screen. I find that this is really useful because it allows me to do things like horizontal and alignment and vertical alignment really easily. Like if, just here for example, say I was moving, I had this cap and I wanted to move it so that it was in line. I was going to point at the screen, you can't see my hand. And I wanted to move it so it was in line with this voltage regulator and this other cap, just for neatness. I can just grab it, and then because I've got the big cursor, you know, you can move it vertically and you can see exactly what it's lined up with. And you can go yoink, and now it is aligned there. I should drag it sideways. Not that I'm going to save this anyway. So it allows you to do vertical and horizontal alignment really easily, and I like that. Can you see the, don't know if you can see the grid lines in there. They're pretty faint. So yeah, my preference is to run the large cursor, and the other thing is that it helps you find the cursor. So when you've got the small cursor set, options, user interface, and layout, we'll go for small cursor. So now we've got the little cross, but a cross is easy to lose. Like if you just glance at that now, where is the cross? I don't know. If you move it, you can find it, but then it can very easily just tend to disappear into the visual noise of where's the cursor? Got to try to find it. So I personally prefer user interface large. So I do large cursor on both the schematic and the PCB layout. Yes, Clinton says the fact that it's a particular project suggests it's a software fault. This is the bad place. Yes. Christopher said John should have minimum of 32 gig of RAM in any device. Yes, that would be nice. This Mac Mini has 8 gig of RAM in it. The most you can spec them to is 16 gig. Although the situation is slightly different with the M1 because of the unified memory architecture, which is very different to the memory architecture on on things like Intel processors. So yeah, I don't know if I want to chase that particular squirrel. But the general idea is that the system memory is so fast and so tightly coupled to the, when I say system, yeah, the main storage is so fast and so tightly coupled to the processor that when it hits swap, yes, it slows down, but it's not like hitting a wall like it is on a typical machine. So it's like it's almost like the 8 gig of RAM is an extra level of cache more than it is your entire operating environment. Now, what am I doing? I don't know. Yeah, but yes, the yoink? Yes, yoink is a technical term. That is the term for moving something. Like if I want to take it from there to there, I'll just yoink it from there. I use the press control to find mouse on Windows. Very handy with Try Monitor. Yeah. Yes, but yes, you're right. More RAM is good. And my goal is that ultimately, later, probably around the end of the year, I will probably sell this M1 Mac Mini and get whatever the replacement for it is, M1X/M2, with lots of RAM and more video channels, so I can run the screens natively directly instead of through things like DisplayLink, and 10 gig Ethernet to connect to the NAS, so that I can store all the video files on the NAS and edit them without having them stored locally. But the time is not yet here. Yeah, in my iMac, I had 24 gig of RAM in that, and 32 gig in the, so I've got 32 gig in my Ubuntu desktop. So, yeah, well, my laptop that I've been using, the 2012 Retina laptop, has 8 gig of RAM in it as well. Yeah, it is not RAM. NVMe is not RAM. No one will ever need more than 64K of RAM. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know enough about this stuff. Clinton Roy said, so the 8 gig is system and video RAM. I think so. I think the way the unified memory architecture works is the graphics cores and the domain system cores access the same RAM, perhaps. But I think the graphics cores they also have their own local cache. So anyway, I don't know the details. I would need to look it up. So all I know is that it's different, and that they've tried to merge as much of it as possible so that it's like a pool of memory instead of being separated. All right. Yeah, well, I do live, so Independent Tech said I also live edit from my storage server with 10 gigabit. Works very nicely, especially when using proxies. Yeah, I actually live edit from it now, and I have been for a little while using 1 gig Ethernet and proxies. It's just that 10 gig Ethernet would be better. In fact, running Final Cut Pro on this, let's this could be a really bad idea. I'm going to launch Final Cut Pro and let's see what happens. yeah. And he says, clearly the unified memory thing isn't quite as good as they advertise. Yeah, I'm sure it's not. Stuff that works super fast on this old i7 Mac with Fusion Disk seems to choke on the M1 by the looks. I have 32 gig in this. Yep. Yeah, it's different. It's some things are good, some things are not so good. Sorry, while I'm talking, I'm just looking for... I don't have the NAS mounted, so I've just got to connect to the NAS. Because this machine got rebooted this morning trying to get the monitors to work. It got rebooted many times. Alright, so I've got the NAS connected now, and if I go into... Yeah, you can't see anything I'm doing, partly because I don't want you to see what I'm doing right now. Open library. Okay, why has it not remembered where my Final Cut library is? That's kind of annoying. Alright, so, oh, I know why. It's because I still haven't mounted it. I mounted the wrong thing off the NAS. Yeah, this is really a riveting live stream, isn't it? I need the video projects. Share. There we go. Now, can I open? Yes. All right. Now switch back to desktop. All right, so Final Cut is opening. I'm just going to get back to, might as well quit out of Eagle. Don't need this running now. Save. No, do not save. All right. And I'll keep that in the background. I'll keep that there. Bring up Final Cut Pro. And this is running, and what's the view? Is it running off proxies? Proxy preferred at the moment. So this library is loaded off the NAS over 1 gig Ethernet, and it's quite usable. Like I can scroll through the timeline, and you can probably hear the audio stuff. So this is actually the project for, is it? Yeah, this is the serial conversion project. The 2-unit TAS motor serial conversion, talking about serial converter requirements and making the connections, different wiring harnesses, connections to the 2U module, etc. And yeah, as I said, all of this is editing off the NAS over 1 gig Ethernet, and it does seem to work pretty well. I'm just going to quit out of Final Cut. But doing it over 10 gig Ethernet would be even better. Mako! Oh, good night, Mako. Yeah. So Capoletti says you need to watch your system resource usage while starting Fusion and see where the bottleneck is. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yes. Mako, you need to go to sleep. Okay. What now? I really did not think through. I know someone mentioned the LSC earlier. I really did not think through what I was going to cover on the live stream today, because I was mostly concerned with just seeing if I could stream at all. But that seems to be working, which is good. Maybe I had been thinking of maybe showing you a little bit about how I got this set up. So this, yeah, it's slightly interesting. It's interesting to me anyway. there is one thing that I've done recently with the cameras, and I'm going to switch to portable for this. Portable? Oh, my phone has gone to sleep. So you'll be able to hear me but not see anything until I wake the phone up. There we go. And I'm going to take it off the tripod, which means I'll kind of be waving it around. Now, one thing that I have recently changed is this setup here. And the idea with this is to try to make it easier to do both live streams and record videos using things like the overhead cameras. Now what you can see is 3 inputs: front video, overhead video, and microscope video. These are on HDMI capture devices. So these USB cables actually go to HDMI capture devices linked to those 3 things. And then this is overhead disc with a USB cable. Now this is the interesting bit. So that USB cable and the overhead video cable both go under the bench and wander around. They end up coming up here, sort of under the bench, wandering around, and you can see there, because I've taken stuff off the shelves, they go up there, up to here, and they go all the way up to this camera. Now the cool thing is that with the USB connection to that camera, if that's plugged into a computer, it mounts the SD card as a disk. So what I can do is use the HDMI capture to do the direct overhead view. So if I switch to overhead view now, that is the overhead camera view from the HDMI capture. But because this is a switched hub, what I can do is just press that button, and then the camera goes into USB disk mode, and it gets mounted on my computer, and then I can just drag the files into Final Cut Pro, and then unmount it, turn it back off, and it goes back into streaming mode. So that is super convenient. It might not sound like anything much, but it is really convenient being able to do that. It means that I don't have to be popping the SD card in and out of the camera all the time and then plugging it into the computer. So if I want to get the files from there, previously I would have to turn the camera off, pop out the SD card, plug the SD card into the computer, copy the files off it, take the SD card back out, put it back in the camera, turn it back on. Now all I've got to do is go clink, press that button, and it's mounted on the desktop. And then I can do an import, which is much nicer. CLS, LSC, LCS, yes, every other option. Yeah. Christopher said, does Apple iMovie have proxies functionality? That's a good question. I don't remember. I haven't used iMovie for a long time. So Christopher asked, what's the streaming feed of the overhead camera being captured by? That is being captured by a cheap little HDMI capture device, which is, I wonder if I can show it to you. I'm just wondering where it is, because it's probably in a very awkward position right now. That goes to there. Oh no, it's under the bench. It's actually in a really hard place to get to. And it's one of those super cheap little HDMI USB capture devices. So at the moment what I've got is the I've gone blank on the name of the company. How could I do that? It's the thing that Iggy gave me. I think it was Iggy. Just looking for where it is. No, that's under the bench as well. Oh Oh, I can just see it under there. Cam link, that's right. There's a cam link. So there is a cam link capture device which is running the front camera, and then I've got two of the cheap Chinese capture devices running the other two sources. So one for the overhead camera, one for the microscope. So I can go to microscope view here as well. Oh, it's just got an SD card under it at the moment. So this is being done off the HDMI. So there's HDMI coming off the microscope, which goes into a capture device, into USB, and then into that hub. Christopher said, in a non-serviceable location. Well, it's kind of serviceable. It's just that it's under the bench at the very back. Am I frozen again? Elgato, yes, that's it. My view in, hang on. That's really weird. My view has frozen in OBS. I think that my stream might be dead. Maybe? Is my stream dead? Is this stream dead? It looks like it might have died when I switched views. It looks like OBS might have freaked out. I don't know. Yeah. Audio is fine, video has frozen. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think OBS has freaked out. So, hang on, I'm actually going to try changing views. I'm going to go to the portable camera. Ah, no, it is just, okay, so portable camera is working, OBS is working. Maybe it's because I was messing around under there. It may actually, I bet it is because I was under the bench fiddling around with that cam link, the Elgato cam link. So I'm going to do a bit of an experiment. I'm going to go to front camera, which looks like it's currently frozen. So right now it's just me kind of smoking at the camera, and I'm going to try relinking the cam link. In fact, I'll switch that view to the other camera, switch it back to cam link, and now it looks like it's back. Yes. That's what it was. It was probably a glitch because I'm just going to switch away from that view again temporarily. So back to the overhead camera, back to the front. All right. Yeah, I think it's because when I was trying to see what the device was, I reached under and I actually grabbed it and twisted it, and I probably disturbed the HDMI or USB connection or something. Presser time. Okay, Clinton. Actually, Clinton, what you should do is stay here in the chat and just tell us what the presser is all about. Give us the updates. All right. So what I was saying was, yes, Elgato cam link capturing the front camera, and then two little HDMI capture devices capturing the other sources. Now, light switch controller. Yeah, I don't have any more updates. I'm sorry. I do have, I've assembled a few. Where did they go? I thought I had some over here somewhere. Ah, yes, here. I did actually get to the point of soldering connections onto a bunch of them, of the 16 port version anyway. So I haven't yet put these ones have been washed. So the state these are at is they have been assembled, they've had the pick and place done, I've put on the connectors, soldered all of the through-hole stuff, put on the headers. I have not yet put on the jumpers to set the I2C addresses. I also need to figure out a way to fix the markings on this, because if I chuck this under here, go to the microscope view, let's see if we're in the right spot. There you can see the address markings on those pins. It's got A0, A1, A2. I need to change it so that it's A2, A1, A0. And then yeah, I haven't quite worked out the best way to do that. I mean, the obvious thing is a sticker. I could just put a sticker on there. But then, I selected the wrong camera view. I could just put stickers over them, but stickers don't tend to be very durable. They don't last all that well. So I've been thinking about whether I should use like industrial labels, or even, this is kind of horrible, but I could just get a pen and black them out so that the labels are gone, and it's better to have no label than a misleading label. And just have in the getting started guide, have the pin out that shows what it is. And also when I ship these out, I'll have the jumpers on them in the correct positions to make it first, second, third and fourth addresses. And the only time someone should have to care about changing it is if they want to actually put it to a different address. So these ones have all had their hand assembly done. They've been through the ultrasonic bath, so they've had their flux removal clean. Then they've sat in the dehydrator for a few hours to come out nice and, oh yeah, they get washed after the ultrasonic bath. They then get washed in pure water, and then they go into the dehydrator so that they are absolutely perfectly dry and there's no possible issues with rusting or whatever. So I've got these ones all assembled and ready to go. And I need to assemble, I still haven't even assembled any of the 24-port version. I do have, oh, it's not in the rack, but I do have an assembled 8-port version as well. But the next thing to do is just to, yeah, Robin Perkins said white out. Probably wouldn't last very well. I could use like a paint pen or a permanent marker or something just to black them out like a Sharpie. I can easily just make it go black. In fact, where's this PCB? Let's just see how well this works. Switch to the microscope view. No, not that one. Let's do it on this one that's already been assembled. And which one is it there? I'm trying to figure out, oh no, it must be that one. I'm trying to work out which one is in focus under the microscope, so I can just black it out. That's kind of horrible. Just black it out on the PCB. Like, do I have a blue pen? Yes, I've got a blue Sharpie. Let's try blacking out the next one using blue. We'll blue it out. It doesn't cover quite as well, so you can still see through it. In fact, under the microscope, it's really obvious because it's catching the edges of the silk screen. You can see through the blue quite well. You can't really see through the black pen. And yeah, that's ugly. It's better than it being wrong, but still it's not nice. So what I was thinking of doing was printing some, I've got label sheets. They're really expensive, unfortunately. They're like $1 something per, no, it's way more than that. I think they might be as much as like $10 per sheet. It's these sorts of things. So this is, who makes it? Avery. Yeah, these are Avery chemical resistant labels. And I think they're made of mylar. So they're sort of like a metallized type plastic. No, what is it? Metallized plastic, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, whatever it is, and it's got some special adhesive. So they're meant to be, they're UV stable, they're chemical proof. Once you stick them on, they'll just stay forever. And they continue looking as good as when you made them. But one sheet like this, I think is close to $10 just for one sheet. So yeah, I might do that. And I could print a whole bunch of little, I'd then have to cut them down because each of these labels is way too big to be the replacement. In fact, just one of these stickers, which is already very small, would be enough to easily do 4 of these sets of labels. So what I really need is only, I wonder if I could print in the margin. I could use this sheet, pass it through again. If I could convince the laser printer to just print in the margin of the sheet, I could use this blank bit. I might see if I can make it do that. I don't know how close I can print to the edge of the sheet with my laser printer. But yeah, if I could print them in here, I could just cut them with scissors and stick them onto there. And that would save me wasting a $10 industrial label sheet just to put new labels on those. Yes. Oh yeah, so Mark said same idea from Michael. Nail polish but clear to fill the gaps and then permanent marker over that so there is no reflection. Black nail polish. Yeah. Oh, did you get some of those badges? Okay, Iggy, I will get to that. Yes, that is actually a really cool squirrel to chase. I will get to that. Now, but I'll just wrap this up first. So, where this is at, I haven't actually even set up the pick and place job for doing these 24 port versions yet. I should do that. But this is the problem, is I keep going, I'm bouncing around between things and not finishing them. And right now, the thing that is probably hanging over my head the most is finishing the 2-year videos. So, yeah. I keep thinking that I want to get back and run a pick and place job on this and do the 24 port version. I need to stick these up on the online store. So as you can see, like I've got 5 of these fully assembled, plus I've got another one, which is the first one I did, which I used for testing. This is an extra 5 that I have assembled so I could put them in stock. And then, ooh. Stephen had a very good idea. Stick it to another sheet with an offset. That's clever. I mean, good ideas. Yeah, so this, what was I saying? Yeah, anyway, I could put these on the online store now. The other thing is that I need to test them. I haven't actually gone through. Part of what I want to do is go through and test every single input on every port of all of these. And that just takes time. So it's sitting there plugging in a switch. Do I have it here? No, it's just over, out of camera view. Yeah, plugging in a switch, connecting this to a device like an Arduino that will read it and report the switch events, and then press every button, make sure that we get a response, unplug it, plug it into the next one, press every button. So testing all of this sort of stuff, it's quite labor intensive. So I need to do that and then I can put them on the online store. All right. Now, Iggy brought up a very interesting squirrel. So let's chase this squirrel just for a little bit. And I'm going for a walk around the room here to get something to bring back over and put it on camera. So what I have here, oh, that was a mistake. I should not have done that. Everybody look into the red light, blank your memory. So these are conference badges from B-Sides Canberra. And in fact, Iggy, maybe you can answer some questions about this. It's good to have you here. So, as many of you would know, there is the conference badge project from LCA 2021. Oh, this is one of the non-final versions, but still it gives you an idea. So in this is the idea is this is a very simple conference badge. It's got a Lowland 32 on it with touch points here, and you can use them as touch sliders, a pair of screens, and the screens are also buttons. So there is a switch behind it, and you can press the screen to activate the button. Mounts for SAOs, so simple add-ons to put on other things, and then that is like a conference badge but electronic. Anyway, I won't go into that. That's just the very basic background. So that's the one for LCA 2021. Now these are conference badges from B-Sides, as you can see right there, B-Sides Canberra, and they are amazing. Oh, Pen 10 Canberra 2021. And what really impresses me about, well, there are many things that impress me about this. So it's got an e-ink display on it here, and I'm going to turn it on. I just need to get myself a screwdriver to turn it on. There's a power switch just here. I'll flick that to the on position. It's starting up, as you can see. It does a little flickery thing, and you can see the LEDs on the sides here flickering. It's flashing stuff on the screen. And then there are a few different things. There is like a navigation keypad here, and with an enter button in the middle. So up, down, left, right, enter. And then there are 3 buttons here which are used for other purposes. These ones poke up above the surface, and you can just press them. So if I press that now, it'll wake it up. So Pen 10, I think, is the company that made these badges. Come on, wake up. There we go. So now we've got audio demo. There's no audio hardware on this particular one, but if I go down to, so you can see there's a menu here which is updating quite slowly because it's e-ink. So I can use the navigation buttons to go down to it, and then click the center one for select, and then about badge. That'll do. It tells us some information about the badge itself, and back to get back up the menu item. Anyway, very cool, and it's got some apps and games and things in it. The games can be really hard to play because the refresh rate on this screen, being e-ink, is terrible. So Snake, for example, is almost unplayable because by the time you press the button, the thing is nowhere near where you actually thought it was. So these buttons have long stalks. You won't really be able to see this very well, but they have long stalks, and they come through the front panel so that you can press them. Down here there are 3 buttons that don't come through the front panel. You've got to use a screwdriver or a pen or something to reach in and push them. But those are for more like system purposes. I can't even remember what they are. I think it's reset and something. Probably like a bootloader mode thing. And you can see there are RGB LEDs mounted around the side here. Every now and then you can see a little blue blink from it. Oh, that one just blinked blue. And other things. Okay, so we've got dual USB ports on here, and there are some other moldings in the side plastic that aren't populated. For example, over here there is a hole, and I think there is meant to be an audio socket on there. There's a connector on the back for the SAO, so that's where the simple add-on goes. And a header in, I think that's the Arduino MKR format. So if you've got like an Arduino shield that suits an MKR, then it can plug onto there. So that is the general outline of the B-Sides conference badge, which is super impressive. And you can see it's got a couple of hangers. I'm not sure what the intended way to hang it is, whether it's a single thing there or a single thing there or a dual hanger like that, which puts it all at a bit of a diagonal. But in any case, it is a super cool badge. And I'm going to open this one up in just a moment because the way it's assembled is very interesting. But before I do that, I'm going to go to suspend, select, and it is now suspending. Badge suspended. All right. So now I'll flick the, I think it should be safe now to flick the little power switch, turn it off. And as you can see, the display stays there even though the power switch is turned off. Oh, and you can also see something cool here. So you can see the printing here with the eagle on the front. And then this is the display here, the e-ink. What is being shown on the e-ink is aligned with the printing on the front. So you can see the head of the eagle and part of its body is in there. If that was just blank, then the eagle would be missing its head. But being e-ink, it keeps its display even when power is turned off, and it's set up so that it just shows that as the complete eagle. That's pretty clever. So the combination of printed artwork on here matching up with the artwork on the display. So it looks like a single, almost continuous picture, apart from this tiny border. Now, okay. The interesting thing about this is that it uses a sandwich construction, which in itself is, I mean, there have been many sandwich construction devices in the past, but this uses a, it looks like custom injection molding. So Iggy, I know you designed the first B-Sides badge. I'm not sure how much you've been involved in more recent ones. But as far as I can tell, just reading the stuff on the page, it looks like these badges were designed by Pen 10. I think that's actually the company that made them, perhaps. And yeah, I don't know how that relationship works between Pen 10 and B-Sides. Oh, it says GME, made in Australia. I don't know who GME is either. Okay, so interesting things here. When I saw that this was a sandwich construction, so it's got a circuit board on the back and a circuit board on the front, my assumption was that the front circuit board would be part of the functionality as well, and it turns out it's not. If you flip it off, so this front panel is a piece of printed circuit board. It looks like it's standard fiberglass in the middle. It's got copper on the back, just with a white solder mask. White solder mask on the front, and then overprinted silkscreen in both black and red, which is cool. So it's a dual color silkscreen, but it is just, the actual copper is just continuous. There is no circuitry or anything on this, so zero etching required. It is simply a piece of circuit board material with holes drilled in it, milled to the right shape, and then it's got the silkscreen and solder mask applied. So this is a really cool way of making something that it's machined accurately, because it's milled in the same way as a normal circuit board would be, and it's strong and light and cheap. Like, producing something like this wouldn't cost very much at all. It's just like a little circuit board. So you can make a really cool looking front panel just by ordering this from a PCB fab house, send them the Gerbers for it, and you get back something like this, which is really nice. Yeah, my first thought when I saw this was, this is the sort of thing that you would do by getting some kind of material and laser cutting it and then silk screening onto it. But if you can get this done by the PCB fab house and it doesn't cost much, I mean, I'm just making up numbers, but this might cost, I don't know, 30 cents, 50 cents, somewhere in that region. depending on quantity and how much they charge for doing the multicolor stuff. Actually, doing something at this size could be like $1. But anyway, it's not a huge amount, so you can get a really cool looking front panel made at a PCB fab house for not a whole lot. And then this is the really interesting bit here. This plastic in here, it looks to me like this is custom injection molded. And this is where where it takes on a whole different level of skill and knowledge to do this manufacturing. And there are some interesting things I noticed. So there are some modifications that have been made to this after the molds were done, and there is evidence of laser cutting that's been done on the plastic after it was injection molded. So they've injection molded this part of the case and then modified it by laser cutting. Just going to see if I can get this apart. In fact, what I'm going to do, let's get some more zoom in happening, because you're not really seeing a great view. I'm going to try to zoom it in. The camera's going to sort of wave around a little bit until it stabilizes on its mount. There's another view of that front panel made out of PCB material. And this is the badge. You can see the e-ink display just there. And did I get all the screws? Oh no, there's another screw. I think that's it. All right, so now we should be able to take this piece of plastic off. But I've got to do it carefully because the ribbon cable for the display comes up through there. So lift it like that, and then I can take it out. So I'll get back to this PCB. But for now, you can see this piece of injection molded plastic, and it's got some tooling marks in here that are, so when I first looked at this, I wondered whether it had been done using something like resin 3D printing, but that wouldn't make sense at this production scale, and there are no layer marks or anything in it. So I'm pretty sure that this is injection molded, and as you can see, it actually shows up really clearly on camera, more clearly than with your eye. You can see the discoloration around this area here, and these holes. So these three holes, you can see these little holes, these are the ones for the navigation buttons on here that come up through the front panel. So those holes match these holes. And that was obviously planned, that this was exactly how it was going to be assembled, with these long stalk buttons. I'll turn it sideways so you can see that these have got quite long stalks on them, so that they come all the way through the plastic and then protrude through the front case and come out through there. But then you can see that there is this square and these three holes that have been laser cut into this plastic after it was injection molded. And what they provide is access to these three buttons. So was it labeled ESP boot, ESP EN, so that's the reset button, and SAM reset. So this particular thing has got both a SAMD21 and an ESP32 on it. And one of these is the reset button for the ESP, and the other one's the reset button for the SAMD21. And it looks to me like originally, oh, and also there's a programming header here, which is what's exposed by this little cutout. So it looks to me like the original intent behind this was that none of this would be exposed. And then there would just be the power switch and the navigation buttons exposed. And at some point, the people working on this design have thought it would be useful to have the reset buttons and the ESP boot mode exposed, and also this programming header. So then they have laser cut these to expose those. And this has been manufactured with those holes for those buttons, so that you can shove something in and reset either of the processors. So it's a very impressive project. Oh, and the other cool thing about this, I'll just move this out of the way, is if I just move this e-ink display out of the way, you can see the battery behind it. And it's not stuck down or anything, it's just sitting there. But the reason it can just sit there is that it's held in place by this plastic surround once it's all assembled. And yeah, overall, it is a really cool design. A lot of thought has gone into this, into the structure of how all of this fits together. And you can also see there are some unpopulated points here. There's an accelerometer, looks like there's an audio interface IC. This is a socket, like a 3.5mm socket for headphones or something else. There's a socket here for a micro SD card, which is cool. It's all internal, so in order to get to this, you have to totally disassemble it, including removing this plastic cover. If this was all in place, there is no way you can get to that micro SD card. And you can see up here the LEDs. So these are LEDs that then, the other thing that this does, this molding, is act as light pipes. So it's a single piece, but because these LEDs are quite physically separated, they're a long distance apart, it doesn't really, you don't really have bleed over effects with the lighting. And in here, in fact, I wonder if I can chuck this under the microscope and show you. Where are we? Okay, so this is the bottom of the little light pipe. That's what the LED butts up to. And then if I turn it over, it's got this triangular molding directly above that part. So the combination of this little triangle sticking up from the top of the molding and, where is it? I've lost it. And this little tube sticking down from the bottom of the molding that goes over the LED, when the LED turns on, it illuminates the triangle, which is very cool. And then the triangle, if I grab the face plate and put it on over the top, in fact, I'll zoom the microscope out because you don't need that level of zoom. It just makes it hard to see what's going on. All right, so you can see that there is a triangular cutout in the faceplate, and there is a little triangle in the molding. When the faceplate goes on, it slots over and the triangles are exposed. So the LEDs then illuminate these little triangles on the front of the faceplate from the back, with the LED mounted just back here. Very nice design. Yes. Oh, John said, kind of reminiscent of the IOTAs we made for the Tasmania LCA. Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of commonalities here. This is weird. Okay, according to the website, this is a Wi-Fi antenna, which is quite strange. Most of the time with Wi-Fi antennas, you see them as being like little squiggly traces. So it'll be a tuned length, meandering antenna. This is just a big flat panel, and that is interesting. So I haven't looked into this in any more detail other than looking it up on the site for the badge, like for the B-Sides site has a page for the badge, and it just says this is the Wi-Fi antenna. I don't know why the choice was, like why it was decided to do that type of antenna style as opposed to the little meandering trace style that you much more commonly see on things like ESP8266 modules, like the ESP01, etc. Which, yeah, the antenna is much smaller. I don't know, maybe there's no major size constraint here, so making this antenna large doesn't really matter. It's possible that doing this style of antenna is easier from a tuning point of view, or maybe it's just more efficient. I don't know. It's something I'd like to know what the thinking was behind the design decision for designing the antenna like this. and what particular advantages it has. Because in situations where you're building a device that doesn't necessarily need to be super small, it might be beneficial to use that sort of antenna. And I'm always open for learning new things. Yeah. All right. So I have been ignoring the chat while I've been while I've been doing that. Okay, so Iggy said, no, they have an RF engineer on staff, or more than one. I don't know what happened in the design process. It's a valid patch antenna, just for the wrong frequency range. Ah, interesting. Okay. Ooh. It looks like there has been some interesting discussion in the chat about the antenna that I have not even been... that I haven't seen. Let me just catch up for a second. So Iggy said, the Pen10 crew have their nose out of joint because I tested the RF stage and found the fancy patch is just for looks, resonant about 2.7 gigahertz. Oh, that's no good. That's way out of band. Yeah, so you said it has a shorted 0.1 microfarad pi matching network. Nice overall thought, packs a ton of stuff in there, so good effort for a conf badge. Yeah, this is really impressive for a conference badge. It does have a lot of stuff on it. So it's a combination of the ESP32 and, which I guess is probably running the main code, and the SAMD21 for audio and the accelerometer and I/O and that sort of thing. Oh yeah, so Iggy clarified, this is good. They were the major sponsor, so they designed it for last year. So this is Pen10. So they designed it for last year, and their manufacturing partner GME, the CB radio people, built it. I've not been involved in this one. Yeah. Oh, GME. You're right. So it hadn't occurred to me. I've heard of that brand. So if we turn this over, so it says GME made in Australia. So Pen10 is the company that designed it. GME is the manufacturing partner. I'm pretty sure I have seen GME branded radios. Yes. Oh, he said over 3,000 were produced. It does seem like a very expensive mold. That is, yeah, injection molding done in Australia. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just scanning back down, trying to catch up with the chat. Okay, so Iggy clarified, essentially it is just for looks on this board. Yep. The Pi network has 0.1 microfarad caps, which are short at 2.4 gigahertz. Yes, they might as well not even be there. All right. Hey, Gerald. Oh, thanks for coming along. I know you got to go. So, Peter said, you're ignoring chat. We are mostly ignoring you. Yeah, so the feeling's mutual. Now, what else was I going to look at on here? Oh, what are they? These parts are very small. Are these 0201? They look like it. They look smaller than 0402. Let's see. Yeah. I will get you some view through this in just a second. Where are we? Microscope. Okay. Just for comparison. All right, let's chuck a couple of parts down on this so that we can see them side by side. I'm going to start by chucking down an 0603 resistor, because that is like a size that a lot of people are familiar with. Oh no, maybe they are just 0402. So what we're looking at, ooh, that glare is terrible. How can I turn that down? Where is it? I need to get the illumination just right. It's because of that big patch antenna beside it. Let's move it somewhere else where we don't have so much glare. That's better. All right, then I can fix the focus. So, oh, in fact, I'll zoom in a bit too. The screen keeps going blank as I'm trying to focus it. All right, so that part just there that I've got in my tweezers, that is an 0603 resistor for comparison. And you can see that it is significantly bigger than these capacitors like C56 and 57 that are just down below it. I'll grab out an 0402 resistor. Yeah, the ones that are on it seem like they're just 0402s. They are not 0201s. So this is an 0402 resistor. Should see if I can get some more zoom so that we can really see the comparison. Focus. And now a little bit more illumination. That way. Alright, so yeah, so there's no 603 resistor, there's no 402 resistor, and there's an 0402 capacitor for comparison. But what I was looking at was over here, because Iggy mentioned the, oh, here we go, mentioned these. So I think these caps are the ones that Iggy's talking about. And this is where we need our handy dandy UT61E online display, which reminds me, I was going to show you something about that. But we will see if we get to that. I don't have it working right now. So what, oh, didn't even put it in the right range. What am I looking for? Ohms range. No, not ohms range. Capacitance. I want capacitance, and what do we get? 150 nanofarads across that one, and there to there, 150 nanofarad, and they'll all be the same. Oh, that one, I've got to try to get the connections on there. Looks like that one is 100 nanofarad, perhaps. Oh no, 150 nanofarad. Okay, so these are all 150 nanofarad capacitors. Let's chuck this stuff up out of the way. Try to clear the bench just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, they are 0402. Dodgy says, was about to ask if I could smell pizza. What? No. And Cable Tie said nearly lunchtime. No, it's Peter's job. Peter is the lunch police. So he's the one that's got to call it. Chris said it looks like they're upside down. Can't see the markings on them on the board. On 0402 there typically aren't markings. Yeah, sometimes there are, but a lot of 0402 parts just don't have markings on them at all. Yes. Peter said dog seems very excited. Yes, that's the neighbour's dog over the back, which they neglect terribly. If only we had a meter we could look at. Yeah, it's already 12, but let me see if just switch to the, I'll move the chat window out of the way. Let's see, how can I do this? I'm going to, because I have not done any preparation for this, I'll move that out of the way. And I'm going to go to Node Red, because I've where is it? UT61E. Okay, this This is super cool. Let's see if... I'm not going to go through the setup process here. UT61E, that's what I want. Look at this. So this is the interface that is coming up. This is being served up by Node-RED. And now what am I going to do for a message? I'm just going to drag that off the shared screen for now. And just while I'm finding the script, because I might end up exposing my things like my MQTT username and password and other stuff. So I'm going to do that off camera. Oh no, that's good. I switched it over to using my other MQTT broker. So this is the little test thing. Oh, do I even have... I don't know if I've got Mosquito installed on this computer. Let's see what happens. No, I don't have Mosquito. What I can do though is SSH to that other machine, and then I should be able to publish to it. So if I paste it in there, does it work? Yes! Check this out. This is so cool. I am really impressed by this. Yeah. Oh, this isn't my interface. This is... This, this just goes to show. Is it Aaron's? I have a problem with matching... Oh, I don't even have Discord installed on this machine. So this is setting up... This is all on the new computer, and I am still trying to install stuff and get stuff set up. Was it Aaron who sent me this? I can't remember. I think it was. So I would have to go back and look through my email and find the source of it. Anyway, what this is... Yeah, I do want to give credit to the right person. OBS can show a web page as a camera, so you can add that interface directly. Yes, exactly. In fact, let's do that right now. So this, I'm just going to leave that, how will I size it? About like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to come across to my OBS setup, and I'm going to do add input, and I'm going to do... is it browser? I think it might be browser as the input source, and I'm going to call it UT61E, and which window am I going to select? No, it's not that one. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, hang on, maybe I can just do this directly. That would be interesting. I know you can do window capture, but I might be able to do this. Is it going to work? Okay. No. Yes, it is. Look at that. I think you should be able to see that now. So that window, which is now visible, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at because I've got the live thing and I've got the OBS preview. So in fact, I'm going to quit out of this now. Well, not quit out of it. I'm going to close that window and the other one will stay. Okay, so this window that you are seeing now with the Unity interface in it, that is being generated by OBS, oops, directly loading the interface out of Node-RED. So this thing here, this little widget, is generating a web interface, and then OBS has loaded it and put it on the screen here. Whoops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. can I select it? Yeah, so from here we can resize it, we can put it over here somewhere. So what we could do is have our multimeter interface visible, and then when we send new data to it, okay, so over here, this is, I'm going to zoom this in, hopefully so you can see what's going on. I'll make it huge and move it over to there. All right, so now if I publish to MQTT, and I'm just going to make negative true and hit publish, look at that, the value changed. And now I'm going to make it 23.3, I don't know, doesn't matter, whatever it is. So as soon as I publish, that display updates. So we now have a Unity multimeter interface visible on the screen, which we can update using MQTT. Cable Tie said, so does OBS run its own internal browser that it renders to a stream input? Yes, exactly. Yeah, so this is not actually capturing a browser window. It is OBS's internal browser that is doing this. That is very, very cool. Now, yeah, so back on my main window. Yeah, so as we've already seen on previous live streams, we can now publish to MQTT from the multimeter interface board. What it's not doing yet is doing the decoding so that we can generate this JSON message. And that's the next step to do. So what I want to do is change it a little bit so that at the moment it's got unit V value as 24.333 in this case, and negative is true. So the number here is always positive, it's the magnitude. So what I want to do is change the syntax a little bit, so it'll be something like, and this is not going to work with the current system, but it would be something like magnitude or absolute value, maybe magnitude. I don't know what term to use here. So we could say magnitude is that, but we could also say value is minus 24.333. So we'd end up with something like this, where we're sending the current type, the units, the value, including the sign. So if you want to do something like to stick this into a database or plot it on a chart, you can just read the value field directly. But you can also use the magnitude and the sign as separate values, which is how it is in here. And if I publish this now, in fact, I don't know what's going to happen. It might break the display. Oh, interesting. Yes, it broke the display. But if I now publish as it was before, it goes back to being correct. And that's because what the node red node is expecting at the moment. Oh, Christopher said absolute. Yeah. Yeah, so value. So what I was thinking of, my first thought was to call this abs value. So it'd be abs value like that. So we've got value as minus 24.333 and abs value as 24.333. Intermittent text said, will it do continuity and amps, etc.? Yes, it'll do everything. So everything that the meter can spit out, this will be able to display. And also, I don't want to take credit for this because this was not my work. That thing that you're seeing on screen here, it was done. I've got to make sure that I am giving credit to the right person. So just give me a second to check email. But my memory tells me that it was Aaron who did this, but I could be wrong. and I don't have Discord installed, so this is all going to be much easier once I've been using this computer for a little while and I'm logged into all the accounts and I've got all the software installed. At the moment, it's all a bit of a mess. Come on, I'm trying to click on the button. T61E. Yes, this is not absolutely for sure, but I am pretty sure that that's contradictory, but I believe it was Aaron who did this interface and did it as I'm just going to drag this up out of the way a little bit so we can see the Node-RED thing. So what he's done is created custom items that go into the palette in Node-RED. So down here there is the UT61E UI. Oh, I could have just looked in here. Yes, the credits. It says created by John Oxer and Aaron Knox. No, it wasn't created by me. This is all Aaron's work. I should not get any credit for that. But what it results in is this node, and when you go into the node configuration, you point it at your Node-RED instance and you give it a URL extension on here. So the web UI URL, and then once it's connected to your your Node-RED host. So in here we've got it. That's actually, oh yeah, that's Node-RED host. Sorry, I'll start from the left. I'll explain it a little bit better. I'll move it over here so you can see it. So we've got an MQTT subscription here. This is pointing at my MQTT host. You tell it the topic where the information is going to be published, and that's it. The output of that comes into this node that Aaron created, and what it does is you tell it your Node-RED host and UI URL. The reason that it needs to know this is that it needs to be able to reference itself when you load it. Now, this message payload, this debug thing, you don't actually need that. Like, we could delete that and it would work just fine. What this does is expose a new endpoint in Node-RED based on this URI. URL. Why do I keep saying URI? I don't know. So if we go to my Node-RED, which is 1880, no, it's not that one, it's the other broker, 18, no, it is, I am confusing myself at the moment. So 1880, and then you add the /UT61E on the end, and it loads it. This is what is displayed. So this is the web browser looking at that endpoint in Node-RED, and it generates this user interface, which Aaron created. So that is where, if we now publish a value to that, let's see, that one should work. Yep, and then it updates in here. Right, which is fantastic. I'm very impressed by Aaron's work there. Alrighty, so tasty yummy food, says Peter. Okay, would the UT61E Plus also work? That is a good question. Alright, so there are a couple of different aspects to this. One is what we've got here is the user interface is disconnected from the meter that we're taking the data from. So if you use the message format, so whatever your meter is, if you acquire data from it and publish it to MQTT in this format, then the user interface will work. So the critical thing is getting it published like this. So then the question is, how do you get the data out of the meter? And with the UT61E, what we're doing is reading from the data stream that comes from the controller chip that's in the multimeter, and the format of that data. So the packet of data that comes out of the multimeter is dictated by the controller chip. Now, if the UT61E Plus, what was that model? Was it UT61E Plus? UT61E Plus, which I think is the replacement version for it, isn't it? If this has the same controller chip in it, then yes, it should work. But if they have used a different chip, tech spec, let's see, I doubt they'll actually tell us here. We'll need someone to do a teardown on one of these. Optional accessories and Bluetooth. Model comparison. Okay, UT61E BDE. So the 61E Plus, which is the one that we're looking at here, I think this might be the replacement for the 61E. The specs look basically the same. Now if we UT61E without the plus, it's this one. So what we need to know is whether this multimeter, let's pull them out side by side. We want to know if this multimeter, the UT61E Plus, has the same controller chip in it as this one, the UT61E. If they do, then yes, this should all work because the format of the data packet will be the same. That is something for some investigation. Now, yes. Oh no, Christopher's brought up the land-based DNS there again. Yes, this has come up before. I don't like doing local DNS. Anyway, I think it is time for lunch. What is it, 12:18? Yeah, so Peter is right. Okay, Peter is officially the caller of lunch. like the shot caller in prison. He's the lunch caller in the live stream. Yeah. Peter said, I'm confused and I clearly need food. Yes. Oh, Cable Tie said, are you sure it was Aaron? Chip says, the Plus model incorporates Bluetooth interface. It does everything that we've spent the last few months developing with Wi-Fi. Yeah. And Scott said, it'd be kind of funny if the UT61E Plus just replaces the optical serial cable with Bluetooth. That would actually be nice because, well, yeah, the interface board would then become obsolete, but the this interface stuff that Aaron is doing would still be relevant. Anyway, so Cable Tie said, are you sure it was Aaron? Oh, okay, that was a joke. I definitely do need to get lunch. I'm sorry. All right. I am going to call it. The important thing was, what time does stream part 2 start today? Oh, there are two important things that I need to do today. One is I do need to get more done on this 2-year video. And the other is I do want to get those LSC boards kind of sorted so that I can list them and other people can start playing with them. Who was it that said that they haven't had brekkie? Oh, Iggy said I haven't had brekkie yet, so I'm certainly hungry. All right, it is time for me to go and have lunch, for Iggy to have breakfast, for Peter to have lunch. I think Mako has gone to sleep. But I think it's largely food time for pretty much everybody. I am really tempted to order a UT61E Plus just to find out what the deal is with it. Is it compatible? Is it... Peter's telling me to go home. because I'm hungry. I am home. Is it compatible? Does it need other changes? If anyone here has a UT61E Plus, please let us know. I would like to know what the interface is and how it works, and whether it is a simple Bluetooth serial. Because the thing is that it could be a simple Bluetooth serial device which exposes the same data packet as we're already using, which would be fantastic. That would be brilliant. But it could be a totally different controller. Could be all sorts of reasons that it's not compatible with what we are working on now. So if you have one, maybe jump on Discord, and I need to catch up on Discord as well, and let us know what you find. I would really like to know what the controller chip is inside a UT61E Plus and how the Bluetooth interface works. Because if it's something like BLE and it requires a specific app and we can't interface with it from a software point of view, that would be a pain. But for now, I am going to call it and say goodbye, farewell, and amen. No, okay, no MASH references. So long, and thanks for all the fish. And I will talk to you all really soon. Maybe I will even actually get into Discord and catch up on my notifications. That would be a miracle. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to see if this does end the live stream when I click this button. The one thing we haven't tested yet. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you all later. See ya.